Why is it so easy to forgive somebody else and so difficult to forgive ourselves? You know what? We're going to talk about that one. Have you ever really stopped to figure out if you're really forgiving yourself for things that you have done? Do you find yourself struggling with happiness, with positivity? Are you struggling with addictions? Well, a lot of that can lead to the simple fact that we do not forgive ourselves. It's like the last thing we want to do. We hold on to that guilt and that shame, just like we just grab onto it and we won't let go of it. So you know what, I found in my own journey, in my own sobriety, that it was really, really, really important for me to forgive myself in order to go forward. So I just thought we would talk about that today. First thing I want you to do, we're going to do a little exercise. Now, I don't mean like exercise, but we're going to do a little exercise of self-forgiveness. And what I want you to do is I want you to sit there and I want you to close your eyes and I want you to envision that one person that you love more than anybody in the world. Yeah, it can be your parent, it can be your child, it can be your partner, it can be your dog, it doesn't matter. That one being that you just have unconditional love for. So I want you to sit there and I want you to think about this person. Now, this person is coming to you and they have done something that they're ashamed of. And they're coming to you for comfort, for forgiveness, for guidance. They just are turning to you in a moment of need. Now, I want you to imagine, what would you say to that person? What would you tell that person? You know, how would you comfort that one person that you love more than anybody else in the world? And I want you to think about that for a moment. Then I want you to stop and I want you to take that forgiveness, that love, that comforting, that kindness, and I want you to give that to yourself. I want you to show yourself the same compassion that you would show to somebody you love unconditionally. Because I gotta tell you, you have to love yourself unconditionally. We are not perfect. We have all made mistakes, but we have to learn to forgive ourselves. It just makes life so much more beautiful. One of the reasons that we don't have self-forgiveness is because we let shame and guilt take control of our thoughts. All right? Shame and guilt will constantly tell you that what you have done is horrible and you don't deserve happiness. Shame and guilt will tell you, you did this, so you're a bad person. You did this, so this and this and this, and it just builds. Shame and guilt for your past will rob you from your happiness. That shame and that guilt for your past, your past doesn't serve you in any positive way. The only thing it does, it harms you and it keeps you from being happy. Shame and guilt for what you did keeps you from having the energy that you want. Shame and guilt drove me to addiction. So you have to realize that the shame and the guilt that you feel for any past thing that you've done that is keeping you from your self-forgiveness is serving you nothing positive. So now you realize that it's being driven by shame and guilt, and you have to realize we all have pasts. There is not one person on the face of this earth that hasn't done something that they wish they hadn't. All right? The only difference is that maybe the person standing next to you in the elevator, you know what? Maybe they hide it better. Maybe they are just like, psh, I don't care. You know, maybe they're just like, yeah, you know what? It's my past. It's my past. But we all have pasts. What we cannot do is we cannot let our past actions hurt us for today. For example, I mean, I'm sober. I live a sober life. And the things I did before I got sober were just cringy. I mean, they were horrible. And it wasn't until I really truly decided to forgive myself for my past that I was able to go forward in my sober journey, in my positivity, and be here in front of you today. So, by embracing your past, by realizing that we all have a past, you need to do that in order to free yourself of your past. So, don't think you're the only one. Don't think that nobody else has done anything as bad as you, because we all have. Again, it's that shame and that guilt that keeps that thought in your head, that keeps you locked into this prison of not having self-forgiveness, that stops you from achieving the happiness that you want. It's a vicious circle, and you have to stop that circle in order to truly give yourself that compassion of self-forgiveness. So you're out there and you're like, hey, Lonnie, you know what? You're right. I did that little mental exercise. You're right. I don't have self-forgiveness. You know what? You're right. I am holding on to my past, and I'm using that to hurt me and not go forward in my future. How do I stop doing that? Well, the exercise that I'm going to recommend for you is this. We all have things that we've done in the past that, that we try not to think about. And here's the problem. You know what, really truthfully, the bottom line to this is we try not to think about it. I just said it. It's like, ooh, that's horrible. I'm not going to think about it. Well, if you don't think about it, it doesn't go away. It's like having an open wound that is getting infected, and you're like, ooh, you know what? I should probably take care of that, but I'm just going to pretend like it's not there, and I'm just going to go forward. Well, this wound isn't going to heal itself. This wound isn't going to miraculously be like, oh, well, she's not paying any attention to me, so I'm just going to get better myself. Facing your past can be tough. Facing your past can suck. Let's just put it that way. But you have to face your past, and you have to be like, okay, yes, I did this. And then see if you can just let it go. Now, if there's certain things in your life that you're like, I've tried that and it just won't go away, then write those things down. Doesn't have to be in any particular order, but write them down. Set them aside and just leave them alone for a couple of days once you have everything written down. Go back after a couple of days and look at your list subjectively, like you're reading somebody else's list. Read it like you're reading the list of that one person that we used in the beginning of the exercise. See if there's anything that needs to be addressed, or see if there's things that are on there unnecessarily, and then just go from there. I mean, if on your list is like, I feel really bad because I got drunk at the Christmas party and I was rude to Betty from the office, you know what? Go up to Betty and just be like, hey, remember last year I had too much to drink at the Christmas party and I was really rude to you. I just want to apologize. Bam. That is gone. It is gone from your psyche. It is a wound is starting to heal. So you're like, ooh, I don't know if I have the courage to face her. Well, you know what? If you don't, just here's another way of doing it. Write down your apology to Betty, and if you ever feel confident enough to give it to her, just hand her a note. Hey, Betty, you know what? Just want to say sorry for being rude to you at the Christmas party. It's all about looking at this list subjectively, fixing what you can, and starting to heal yourself. Now, if there are things on that list that are monumental, sometimes our past childhood stays with us. And I will be talking about the inner child and how to heal your inner child. But there's some things sometimes in our past that we had no control over, and yet we still carry that guilt with us. That is absolutely, there's no self-serving in that action at all. Write it down, rip it up, burn it, I don't care. We got to start letting that go because it doesn't do us any good. To start your journey of self-forgiveness, you need to start your journey of healing. And again, writing down everything is absolutely the way to start. What I'd like you to do is once you hear this and you start on your journey, every day, every single day, tell yourself that you will forgive yourself. I know it can be hard, and it took me a long time to be able to vocalize those words. So what you can do is start small. Start writing it down. Write it down on a Post-it, put it on the mirror. I forgive myself. Even if you can't physically say it, you can see it, and subconsciously it's going to start to grow. Subconsciously, you're going to start to heal. Subconsciously is where it needs to start, because then it starts talking to the voices in your head, and then the voices in your head start talking out loud. So give yourself that gift of self-forgiveness. Give yourself that same compassion that you would give the person you love the most. You deserve to love yourself as much as you love somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with self-love, and there is absolutely not one thing wrong with self-forgiveness. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This was very near and dear to my heart during my recovery, and one of the things I talk about most is self-love and self-forgiveness. It is probably one of the hardest things to do, but one of the most important things to do. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please hit the like button. And if you'd like to stick around, see what I'm going to talk about next, you can hit subscribe. I always welcome all your comments in regards to today's episode or any suggestions for future episodes. And until next time, remember, tell yourself something kind, forgive yourself, and I will see you on the next episode.